Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is One Punch Man, Season 1, Episode 10, Unparalleled Peril. And the episode, in a nutshell, is just a brief reminder of what happened in the episode. So the episode starts with the ancient king, who is the master of all the dinosaurs, awakening and beginning his rampage. And there are tanks on the ground that are shooting at him to lead him towards Tatsumaki, who is going to defeat him. But just as the battle is about to begin, she gets a call from the Hero Association calling her back. And so she then brings down a meteor to kill the ancient king. We then move on to where Genos and Saitama are at Bang's dojo, where his currently only remaining student Sharanko is. We learn that one of Bang's students, Garo, had basically gone rogue and defeated all of his best students before fleeing, and then the remaining students were mostly cowards and quit, except Sharanko, who is still there. And he's asking Saitama and Genos if either of them want to be one of his disciples, but they both decline the offer. And then a member of the association arrives and invites Genos and Bang to come and basically invites them to the association for an emergency meeting. And since Saitama's there and he's Genos' master and Bang also acknowledges his strength, he gets to go too. And then we go to the Hero Association where there's a meeting and we basically meet most of the S-class heroes. There's the Atomic Samurai, Puri Puri Prisoner, someone named Bad, Tank Top Master, Flashy Flash, Watchdog Man, Super Aloe Darkshine, Pig God, Drive Knight, Zombie Man, King, and the Child Emperor. And they're all at this meeting, and then Busho, Jinzurin, and Sitch, who are all members of the association, walk in and basically say that Shibabawa made a last prediction before choking on a cough drop, and the last thing that she wrote was that the Earth was in trouble, and that even though she rarely makes rarely makes predictions, every single one she's ever made came true. So the Earth is in trouble, and it's going to happen in some time in the next 6 months, as that's how far into the future she was looking. And this is when Saitama says, well, if it's in the next 6 months, that means it could also happen like today or tomorrow. And sure enough, then the building starts to shake. And we see the Sky King with his followers, Eagle, Hawk, Falcon, and Kite, attacking the Hero Association headquarters before they're all defeated. And that is when Melzolgard descends, and he's the one who killed them. And he's basically protecting the ship. Then we see a gigantic out-of-space ship that flattens City A completely except for the headquarters building, which survived because it was made by Metal Knight, who's so it was very much stronger than any other building or shelter in City A. And then some survivors start to crawl from the rubble, and Ian, who is the Atomic Samurai's disciple, was waiting for the Atomic Samurai, and so he takes on Mezzalgard, but he quickly discovers that even if Mezzalgard is chopped up into pieces, he will reform as his body is not normal human body. It's like I guess similar to like a golem or slime even. Anyways, the point is he starts fighting him. He ends up losing his arm in the process, but then a lot of the S-class heroes arrive on the scene, and Atomic Samurai, Bang, and Metal Bat. They team up to fight Mezelgard. And then we have um which ones were they? The Child Emperor, King, Super Ally Darkshine, Puri Puri Prisoner is also with Mezelgard, I forgot about him. Tatsumaki and Genos are deciding what to do with the ship, but Genos knows that Saitama, who left first, is already on the ship. And then we see Saitama basically making his way through the ship, killing everything that he sees, as well as punching the ship itself. And Gororibus, which is an alien, shows up and talks about his acid breath, but is killed before he even has the chance to breathe out the acid breath. And then we see inside the ship a bit of a throne room situation, and Boros is sitting on that throne. And that's where we end this episode. So now that we've been reminded about what happens, it's time to rank the episode. And as always, we'll be ranking on our two ranking lists, the mostly objective ranking list, followed by our personal ranking list. And starting with our mostly objective rank values, I highlighted those I felt applied to this episode. So this is an episode that's carried very much on the introductions of a lot of characters. So we'll start with our single episode supporting character introductions. We had the Ancient King, the Sky King plus his followers, and Groribus, who was a very, very quickly defeated alien. We then have our multi-episode supporting character introductions, which is basically all of the S-Class heroes that we haven't met yet, minus the two that were absent, and that's the Tank Top Master, Flashy Flash, Super Aloe Darkshine, Pig God, Drive Knight, Zombie Man. Then we have Atomic Samurai's disciple Ian, and then another stronger alien, Mezelgard, Mezelargard, who is basically like similar to a golem in that, even if you wound him, he'll just reform. And then Boros, who is the leader of the aliens, was teased. I don't think that this would be his introduction, as it was right before the credits that we saw him in the throne room, but he exists. And then we have our multi-season supporting character introductions, and to be fair, most of those S-classes are multi-season occurring. However, they're such small bit parts that I don't feel like they're worth the 3 points. So I'm just going to leave them as multi-episode, and those multiple episodes just happen to fall within other seasons. Anyways, now for the more memorable ones, multi-season supporting character introductions. We have Shrenko, who is Bang's remaining disciple, Atomic Samurai, King, Child Emperor, and Metal Bat. And all of these are very obviously and clearly well above 10. So this is a 10 out of 10 episode. However, the one negative that did apply was that it was very much a setup episode for the next two, and most of it was taken up by a meeting, and that is why there's a -1 point there, but that makes no difference to the score. And then our season ranking so far for our mostly objective ranking. As a reminder, anytime that more than one mostly objective ranked episode gets the same score, it'll be ranked in episode order. So even though it is a 10 out of 10, the order of the mostly objective ranking is the strongest man, the lone cyborg, the modern ninja, the ultimate master, the terrifying city. This episode, Unparalleled Peril, comes in 6th. Then we have the ultimate disciple, the obsessive scientist, the deep sea king, and in 10th, Unyielding Justice. So for my personal ranking, I think I already mentioned that this episode was mostly a meeting, and then the introduction of who we're going to be fighting, and a couple of like welcome exchanges with the enemies, but it very much was setting up for the next episode. So it's interesting, but at the same time, not a lot really happens within it. However, I was personally very amused by Saitama basically being invited along by Bang and Genos into this S-class meeting, and literally as they're entering off of the elevator, Saitama's at the lead with like Bang and Genos on either side, slightly behind him. And then Tatsumaki's like, "Who's this guy?" And he's like, "Who's this child?" And she eventually gets upset that he's ignoring her because he just does not care. And then when they're in the meeting table, he's like literally sitting at the head of the table. And I'm like, this, I mean, in this universe, the nobody B rank hero is just like at the head of the table of like all the S classes on either side. Nobody really knows who he is, but nobody really says anything about him being there either. And even among all the S classes, like most of them don't even comment, and he's the one who brings up the comment asking for tea and bringing up the fact that it could have happened today or tomorrow, even if it's happening in the next 6 months, just as it's about to. So I find it funny how he's kind of like the one who's has the least right to be there and yet seems to be the most comfortable being there. I think that's hilarious. And then also how after the city is leveled, they're talking about how, oh, the reason the Hero Association headquarters is still standing is because we had Metal Light build us this super hard and durable fortress, like building. And then like Genos turns to Saitama and he's already gone and there's like a hole in the roof, so not that strong. But yeah, I found it amusing and it was entertaining. It held my attention. But again, it was clearly and obviously setting up. There was a lot of time of the episode spent on introducing the S classes we haven't met yet. It would show them on screen, it would show their name, their ranking, and then there would be some sort of thought in their head that would be kind of to determine what kind of character they are. And that took a lot of time, and especially since some of them are very bit party and you don't really see them much, or again, it was kind of like, okay, this is taking a bit too much time. But I did like that we started with the action scene. We had that scene that shows that like Bang has kept in touch with Genos and Saitama since the meteor incident in The Ultimate Disciple and even wants them to be his disciples. We also get to see Bang's dojo for the first time. So overall, like I liked the episode. I just again thought not a lot happened. And that's why I gave it a 7 out of 10. Which brings my personal ranking now to the Ultimate Master, the Obsessive Scientist, the Deep Sea King, the Strongest Man, the Lone Cyborg. This episode comes in 6th, Unparalleled Peril, the Terrifying City, the Modern Ninja, Unyielding Justice, and then in 10th we have the Ultimate Disciple. Bringing us now to our series ranking so far. And on our mostly objective ranking, we have season 1 at 90 out of 120 so far, and season 1 on the personal ranking at 73 out of 120. With that, we've now rewatched and ranked One Punch Man Season 1, Episode 10, Unparalleled Peril. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.